12-year-old Zira stood frozen on the brightly lit stage. The spotlight burned against her dark skin, intensifying as all eyes turned to her. She watched, unable to move, as Victor Hargrove, billionaire tech CEO, America's favorite self-made success story, tore her science fair certificate in half on live television. The sound of ripping paper cut through the shocked silence. "This," Hargrove said, his smile never wavering as he held the torn pieces for the cameras, "is what happens when we lower standards." The audience gasped. Somewhere, a woman whispered, "Oh my God." The judges shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Nobody stopped him. Tears threatened to spill from Zira's eyes, but she held them back. Her hands, small and steady despite everything, curled into fists at her sides. On national television, in front of millions, Victor Hargrove had just called her a fraud. What Victor Hargrove didn't know? He'd just declared war on the wrong child. The fluorescent lights of Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School buzzed overhead as Zira hunched over her math test. She'd finished 15 minutes early. Again. Her pencil tapped silently against the desk as she watched other students struggle with problems she'd solved in seconds. "Time's up," Ms. Winters announced. "Pencils down." As papers passed forward, Ms. Winters caught Zira's eye. "Zira, see me after class." When the room emptied, Ms. Winters flipped through Zira's test. "Perfect score again," she sighed. "You know, there are special programs for students who need extra help." "But I don't need help," Zira said. "I need harder problems." "That's not what I meant. Your situation." Ms. Winters glanced at Zira's worn backpack, the shoes held together with duct tape. "Perhaps expectations should be adjusted." "You mean lowered," Zira corrected flatly. Not the first time she'd heard this. Outside, Nate from Advanced Science waited. "You should be in our class," he whispered. "Everyone knows it." "Mr. Phillips says STEM isn't really my path." Zira mimicked her counselor's voice. "That's bull," Nate said. "You're smarter than all of us." Zira shrugged. "Tell that to Phillips." Her Baltimore neighborhood welcomed her home with familiar scenes. Mrs. Jenkins watering her struggling garden, the Jackson twins racing bikes through potholes, the corner store where Mr. Chen extended credit when money ran thin. Inside their apartment, silence. Grandma May wouldn't be home until after her second shift ended at midnight. The soft whirring of Zira's prototype device greeted her, the only sound in their quiet home. She pulled it from her backpack carefully. The neural network device was small but powerful, built from salvaged parts and coded with algorithms she'd taught herself from library books. She'd named it Haley, Health Artificial Learning Intelligence Engine, and programmed it with her grandmother's no-nonsense personality. "Hello, Haley," she whispered, powering it up. "Good afternoon, Zira," Haley responded. "Your grandmother's heart rate was elevated at 642 this morning. Recommend increased fluid intake." Zira nodded. Her grandmother's heart condition had inspired Haley's creation, a system that could predict health emergencies before they happened. If she'd had this when her mother collapsed 3 years ago. The refrigerator held a note scrawled in her grandmother's handwriting. "Leftovers inside. Take your vitamins. Love you, baby girl." Zira swallowed the pill and packed her backpack. The public library closed at 9, 4 precious hours to code. At the Jefferson Public Library, she claimed her usual back corner terminal. Ms. Diallo, the West African librarian, nodded in recognition. "The advanced programming books you requested arrived," she said, sliding 3 heavy volumes across the counter. "Thank you," Zira whispered, eyes bright. Hours passed as Zira disappeared into lines of code, teaching her creation to think, to learn, to predict. On screen, neural pathways connected and evolved. Haley was growing smarter every day. Her phone buzzed. A text from Grandma. "On break, did you eat?" "Yes," Zira typed back. She hadn't, but Grandma worried enough. The young innovator's science fair application sat half-completed on the desk beside her. Grand prize, $50,000 and a mentorship at Hargrove Technologies. They needed that money. The eviction notice had appeared last week, their third this year. The library closed. Walking home, Zira clutched her device, mind racing with possibilities. The science fair was her chance, a real shot at changing everything. No more double shifts for Grandma. No more counselors steering her toward appropriate careers. No more pretending to be less than she was. The next morning, Zira showed her grandmother the colorful diagrams of Haley's neural networks. "Look at this beautiful art you've made," Grandma May said, proudly pinning it to the refrigerator alongside bill notices. "My girl's so talented." Zira didn't correct her. She wouldn't understand anyway. Nobody did. The science fair was supposed to change everything, until Victor Hargrove changed the rules. 3 weeks before the disaster, Zira had trembled with excitement as she submitted her application to the Young Innovators Science Fair. National television coverage, real scientists as judges, and Victor Hargrove himself, founder of Hargrove Technologies, the man revolutionizing healthcare with artificial intelligence. The acceptance letter arrived on a Tuesday. Grandma May had cried, holding Zira so tight she could barely breathe. "They see you," her grandmother had whispered. "They finally see you." The convention center buzzed with activity. Bright displays lined the massive hall. Volcano models, robot arms, renewable energy contraptions. Amidst it all, Zira stood beside her small table, Haley's compact form displayed on a black cloth. "Nervous?" asked the boy next to her, his hydroponics system bubbling and whirring. Zira nodded, watching Victor Hargrove move through the room, camera crew trailing behind him. He was taller in person, his tailored suit worth more than their apartment building. "Don't be," the boy said. "It's just for show. They already know who's winning." "Who?" He nodded toward a sleek display where a blonde girl demonstrated her project to smiling parents. "Senator Coleman's daughter. Politics, you know." Zira's stomach tightened. But no, her project was better. Haley was special. They would see that. When Hargrove reached her table, Zira stood tall. "Hello, Mr. Hargrove. I'm Zira Williams." His eyes barely flicked over her display. "And what do we have here?" "Haley is an artificial intelligence that predicts medical emergencies before they happen," she explained, words rushing out. "It monitors subtle changes in vital signs and behavior patterns to—" "You built a predictive healthcare AI?" Hargrove interrupted, eyebrow raised. The cameras moved closer. "Yes, sir. It's already 87% accurate in— And where did you get the code for this?" His tone shifted, suddenly sharp. "I wrote it myself. I taught myself Python and TensorFlow using library books and—" Hargrove laughed, the sound cutting through her explanation. "That's quite impossible." He turned to the cameras. "Young lady, this level of algorithmic sophistication is beyond PhD candidates, let alone—" He gestured vaguely at her second-hand clothes, at her entire existence. "I can demonstrate," Zira insisted, reaching for Haley. "I have test cases and—" "I've seen enough." Hargrove lifted her project certificate, the one declaring her a finalist. "This competition is about honesty and originality. We cannot reward plagiarism." And then, before millions of viewers, he tore the certificate in half. "This," he said, his smile never wavering, "is what happens when we lower standards." The ripping sound echoed in Zira's ears. A sharp paper cut sliced her finger as she reached for the falling pieces. A thin line of blood formed, bright red against her dark skin. The judges said nothing. The other contestants stared. Cameras captured every second of her humiliation. "We'll find the real inventor," Hargrove promised the audience with a wink. As the cameras clicked and flashed, something crystallized in Zira's mind. She wouldn't just prove him wrong. She would make him admit it to the world. He called you a liar on national television, Amara Jones said, recorder in hand. The young reporter had cornered Zira outside school the day after the science fair. Do you have a response? Zira brushed past her. No comment? People are talking about this, Zira. The video has 2 million views already. 2 million people had watched her humiliation. Fantastic. The public deserves to hear your side, Amara persisted, following her down the sidewalk. The public doesn't care about my side, Zira snapped. They got their show. Poor black girl put in her place. Story over. Amara stopped walking. That's not the story I want to tell. Zira paused, studying the woman's face for the first time. What story do you want? The true one. Amara handed her a business card. When you're ready. At the library that afternoon, Zira slumped at her usual computer, the bitter taste of energy drink coating her tongue as she fought to stay awake. She'd been up all night, researching Victor Hargrove, searching for something. You look terrible, Ms. Diallo said, approaching with a sandwich. Eat. Not hungry, Zira mumbled, eyes fixed on the screen. Eat anyway. Ms. Diallo's tone left no room for argument. She glanced at Zira's screen. Hargrove Technologies' new healthcare initiative? Zira nodded, taking a reluctant bite. They're launching next month, revolutionizing healthcare through AI prediction. Sound familiar? Ms. Diallo's eyes narrowed. Suspiciously so. They stole my idea, Zira whispered, but I can't prove it. Yet, Ms. Diallo corrected. She hesitated, then said, There's something you should see. She typed rapidly, bypassing the library's security protocols with practiced ease. Research databases appeared, the kind that required university credentials. You're not just a librarian, Zira realized. Ms. Diallo smiled slightly. I have a PhD in computational neuroscience from MIT. Immigration doesn't always honor foreign credentials. Why are you helping me? Because talent deserves recognition, regardless of packaging. She pointed to the screen. Now let's see what Hargrove is really building. Hours later, Zira's head spun with new information. Hargrove's healthcare AI, marketed as revolutionary, contained a fundamental flaw. It maximized profits by selectively denying care, using algorithms that disproportionately affected low-income and minority patients. They've built bias into the system, Ms. Diallo explained. Zip codes, historical data, even names become proxies for race and class. And nobody notices? The right people notice. They call it efficiency. That night, working at her small desk while Grandma May slept, Zira made a discovery that stopped her breath. Buried in Hargrove's technical specifications, part of a leaked document Ms. Diallo had accessed, was code almost identical to Haley's core algorithm. They hadn't just stolen her idea, they'd stolen her actual work. But how? Her project submission had included technical details. Someone on the selection committee must have passed it along. Zira's hands trembled as she pulled up information on the National Young Innovators Competition, a more prestigious event where Hargrove would present his company's new healthcare system as head judge. Perfect, she whispered. The application process was rigorous, requiring academic references and parent signatures. Impossible obstacles, or they would have been, before Victor Hargrove made this personal. 2 forged recommendation letters and 1 digitally signed parental consent form later, Zira Williams became Zara Wilson, coding prodigy from a private STEM academy in Virginia. The acceptance email arrived the same day as the eviction notice. Now she had 2 weeks to change both their futures. Late on rent again? Grandma May sighed, holding the ominous letter. I'll pick up an extra shift. No, Zira said firmly. I have a plan. Her grandmother looked skeptical. What kind of plan pays 3 months back rent? A winning one, Zira promised. I just need you to trust me. While her grandmother worked double shifts, Zira transformed Haley. The device needed to do more than predict. It needed to expose. She added modules to analyze Hargrove's algorithm, identify its biases, and demonstrate its flaws. Ms. Diallo provided crucial help, sharing research papers and technical knowledge beyond library books. One afternoon, she introduced Zira to Dr. Eliana Wright via video call. Dr. Wright worked for Hargrove until last year, Ms. Diallo explained. The woman on screen nodded grimly. I was fired after questioning their algorithmic ethics. The healthcare AI they're launching. It's designed to deny care while appearing objective. Can you prove it? Zira asked. I have documentation, Dr. Wright confirmed, but no platform. Hargrove's legal team is formidable. I might have a platform, Zira said slowly. A live-streamed event with Hargrove himself present. Dr. Wright's eyes widened. The Young Innovators competition? Zira nodded. I'm a finalist. Impossible. Hargrove would never... He doesn't know who I really am. Yet. Understanding dawned on Dr. Wright's face. You're the girl from the science fair. The one he humiliated. Yes, Zira said. And I'm about to return the favor. The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and fear. Zira sat rigid in the uncomfortable waiting room chair, her schoolbooks untouched beside her. Through the window of room 412, she could see Grandma May connected to monitors, their rhythmic beeping creating an urgent countdown in Zira's mind. Stress-induced cardiac event, the doctor had explained, words gentle but firm. She needs rest, medication, and an invasive procedure we recommend performing next week. Our insurance, Zira had begun, has denied coverage for the procedure, the doctor finished, frustration evident. The new automated system flagged it as non-essential. I've appealed, but decisions made by algorithms rarely changed, especially Hargrove's algorithms. The laptop balanced on Zira's knees displayed Hargrove Healthcare Initiative's denial letter. The language was clinical, impersonal, and buried in technical jargon was the truth. Treatment denied based on a comprehensive risk-benefit analysis. Translation, not worth the investment. Zira's phone buzzed with a text from Ms. Diallo. Found something. Come when you can. Can't leave, Grandma, she typed back. This can't wait. Trust me. At the library, Ms. Diallo locked the door to the small conference room. Hargrove's system isn't just biased, she said, voice tight. It's deliberately discriminatory. She projected documents onto the wall, internal memos, technical specifications, testing data. These decision trees... Zira studied the algorithms, understanding dawning. They're designed to filter out specific neighborhoods. Yes, and they stole your predictive code to do it more efficiently. Ms. Diallo's face hardened. Your algorithm was meant to save lives. They're using it to decide whose lives are worth saving. How did you get these documents? Ms. Diallo hesitated. Dr. Wright has contacts inside Hargrove Technologies. This is enough to expose them, Zira said. Not quite. We need proof that the system actively discriminates, not just statistical patterns that suggest it. I can prove it, Zira said. Haley can run simulations showing exactly how their decisions play out across demographics. Then we need to accelerate our timeline. The competition is in 12 days. Zira's phone buzzed, a hospital notification. Grandma's awake, I have to go. There's something else, Ms. Diallo said. I need to tell you why this matters so much to me. Later, Zira promised, already halfway out the door. She was crossing the hospital lobby when a familiar voice stopped her. Zira Williams? Amara Jones, press badge dangling from her neck, approached with purpose. Not now, Zira said, moving toward the elevators. I know what you're planning, Amara said quietly. The Young Innovators competition. Except you're registered as Zara Wilson. Zira froze. How did you... I'm a reporter. I follow leads. Amara's expression softened. And I follow stories about injustice. Are you going to expose me? That depends. What's your end game here? The elevator arrived. Zira stepped inside, Amara following. Hargrove stole my algorithm. He's using it to deny health care to people like my grandmother. I'm going to prove it. On stage? In front of cameras? Yes. Amara studied her. That's either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. It's necessary, Zira corrected. The elevator stopped. Amara handed Zira her card again. Call me before you do anything. A story like this needs proper coverage. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you amplification. There's a difference. In Grandma May's room, the monitors continued their relentless beeping. Her grandmother's eyes fluttered open. There's my girl, she whispered, voice weak. How are you feeling? Zira took her hand gently. Like I've been hit by a truck. She attempted a smile. The doctor says I need some fancy procedure. We'll figure it out, Zira promised. Insurance already said no. We can't afford it out of pocket. Don't worry about that now, just rest. After Grandma May drifted back to sleep, Zira worked from the hospital chair, Haley balanced on her lap. The device was learning, analyzing thousands of healthcare decisions, identifying patterns of discrimination. Her phone buzzed with a new email, competition logistics. All minor participants required accompanying guardians. Impossible. Grandma May couldn't leave the hospital, and she had no other family. Another buzz. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Your registration has raised flags. YIC security team. Panic seized her chest. They knew. Somehow they'd discovered her real identity. A third notification. An email from Victor Hargrove's executive assistant requesting a pre-competition interview with Zara Wilson about her groundbreaking healthcare application. They were watching her, waiting to catch her. Or worse, planning to steal her improved algorithm too. With 12 days until the competition and her identity about to be exposed, Zira made the most dangerous decision of her life. She would hack Victor Hargrove's own system. Absolutely not, Amara said, pacing the hospital's empty cafeteria. Hacking Hargrove Technologies is a federal crime. So is stealing my intellectual property, Zira countered. So is using algorithms to deny healthcare based on race and class. One is easier to prosecute. Amara stopped pacing. There are better ways to expose them. Name one that works in 12 days. Amara sat across from Zira, lowering her voice. You have evidence they stole your algorithm? Yes. And evidence their system discriminates? Haley is running the simulations now. Amara tapped her fingers against the table. I have editorial independence at the Baltimore Tribune. We could publish an exposé. Which Hargrove's lawyers would bury before the ink dried, Zira said. We need something public, something they can't deny. The competition. Amara nodded slowly. But you need a guardian present and security's already flagging your registration. That's why I need your help, Zira said. Not to hack them, to get me into that competition. The squeak of Zira's sneakers echoed against the polished marble floor of the Baltimore Medical Research Center. Each step matched her racing heartbeat as she followed Dr. Wright through sterile hallways. Miss Diallo vouches for you, Dr. Wright said, swiping her key card at a secured door. That carries significant weight with me. Inside the lab, screens displayed complex neural networks, similar to Haley's but more elaborate. This is what Hargrove's healthcare system is really built on, Dr. Wright explained. Predictive analytics that identify high-cost patients for early intervention or early rejection. Intervention meaning denial of coverage, recommendations against expensive procedures, reduced medication options. Dr. Wright pulled up patient data. These algorithms don't just predict health outcomes, they enforce them. And they're using my code to do it. Zira's voice hardened. I need to get into that competition. The Guardian requirement and security flags are significant obstacles, Dr. Wright noted. I might have a solution for both, Amara interjected, entering the lab. Dr. Wright, your research on algorithmic bias is groundbreaking. The Tribune would love to profile you, with your on-the-record critique of Hargrove's system. Dr. Wright stiffened. My non-disclosure agreement only covers proprietary technology, not ethical concerns, Amara finished. I've reviewed it. And the Guardian issue? Zira asked. Amara smiled. Meet your new temporary guardian. She handed Zira doctored guardianship papers with Ms. Diallo's name. Legal in appearance, if not in fact. This is... Doctor, Wright began. Necessary, Zira and Amara said simultaneously. Back at the library, Ms. Diallo examined the guardianship documents. These are convincing forgeries. Where did you get them? Better you don't know, Amara said. Will you do it? Ms. Diallo's expression grew distant. When my daughter was 16, she developed an unusual heart condition. Hargrove's early healthcare algorithm, the precursor to their current system, deemed her treatment experimental. Insurance denied coverage. What happened? Zira asked softly. We couldn't afford the procedure. Ms. Diallo's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. She died 3 months later. The room fell silent. I'm so sorry, Zira whispered. Victor Hargrove didn't pull the trigger, Ms. Diallo said. But his algorithm decided my daughter's life wasn't worth saving. She straightened her shoulders. So yes, I will be your guardian at this competition. Working through the night, Zira enhanced Haley's capabilities. The device now contained irrefutable evidence of Hargrove's theft and discrimination, and something more. A back door into Hargrove's presentation system. You're sure this will work? Dr. Wright asked, reviewing the code. Hargrove's team is arrogant, Zira explained. Their security focuses on external threats. They never expect the enemy to be on stage with them. And if they catch you? Then at least we tried. As competition day approached, their plan crystallized. Amara would provide press coverage. Dr. Wright would supply expert testimony. Ms. Diallo would accompany Zira as her guardian. And Haley would deliver the evidence. The night before the competition, Zira visited Grandma May, who was improving but still confined to her hospital bed. Where are you going tomorrow that's so important? Her grandmother asked suspiciously. A special program at the library, Zira lied. Ms. Diallo is taking me. You're up to something, Grandma May said. I can see it in your eyes. I'm fixing a mistake, Zira said truthfully. Her grandmother studied her face. Just be careful, baby. The world isn't always kind to girls who know their worth. I know, Zira whispered. That's why I have to change it. The Young Innovators competition buzzed with excitement. Corporate sponsors, media outlets, and tech industry elite filled the auditorium. Security was tight. Zira's backpack underwent 2 separate searches, though Haley's true capabilities remained hidden beneath its innocent exterior. Nervous? Ms. Diallo asked as they found their seats. Terrified, Zira admitted. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Victor Hargrove took the stage to thunderous applause, his charisma filling the room. Cameras followed his every move as he welcomed participants and judges. Today represents the future, he announced. Young minds pushing boundaries, creating solutions we never imagined. The irony wasn't lost on Zira. As Hargrove spoke, Zira activated Haley remotely. The device connected to the venue's network, finding pathways into the presentation system. Within seconds, Hargrove's teleprompter script had been quietly archived and replaced. Contestant 12, Zara Wilson, the announcer called eventually. Zira approached the stage, Haley clutched in her hands. As she passed Hargrove, recognition flickered in his eyes, quickly masked by confusion. He knew her face but couldn't place it. Not yet. As Zira took the stage, smiling at the cameras, he had no idea the algorithm running the teleprompter now belonged to a 12-year-old girl sitting in the back row. Zara Wilson from Oakwood STEM Academy, the announcer's voice boomed across the auditorium. Presenting predictive healthcare analytics for equitable outcomes. Zara stepped into the spotlight. Haley clutched in her hands. The cool weight of the device hummed with vindication. 300 audience members, 5 judges, and 1 Victor Hargrove watched as she positioned her creation on the display table. "Thank you for this opportunity," she began, voice steady despite the hammering in her chest. "My project addresses a critical issue in healthcare AI, algorithmic bias." In the front row, Hargrove's posture stiffened. His eyes narrowed, studying her face more carefully. "Machine learning systems reflect the biases of their creators," Zara continued. "When these systems determine who receives healthcare, bias becomes deadly." Recognition dawned in Hargrove's eyes. He leaned forward, whispering urgently to an assistant. Security guards at the entrance straightened. Too late. "My system, Haley, identifies and corrects discriminatory patterns in healthcare algorithms," Zara explained, activating the device. "To demonstrate, I've analyzed a prominent healthcare prediction model currently being implemented nationwide." The massive screen behind her illuminated with data visualizations, decision trees, risk assessments, patient outcomes, all sourced directly from Hargrove's system. "This is proprietary information," Hargrove interrupted, standing. "Security." "Is it proprietary?" Zara asked innocently. "Or is it stolen?" The audience murmured. Cameras swiveled between them. "I have 5 test cases," Zara continued as security approached. "Identical patients with only one variable changed, their zip code." The screen displayed patient profiles, identical medical histories, different addresses. "Haley, run simulation," Zara commanded. The device processed rapidly, results appearing on screen. 5 identical medical conditions, 5 wildly different treatment recommendations. "As you can see," Zara pointed to the data, "patients from lower-income neighborhoods receive dramatically different care recommendations despite identical medical needs." "This presentation is unauthorized," Hargrove snapped, now on stage beside her. "This child has no understanding of complex healthcare analytics." "Actually," Zara replied, "I understand them well enough to have created the core algorithm your system uses." She tapped Haley again. New information appeared, side-by-side code comparisons. Her original work submitted to the science fair alongside Hargrove's proprietary algorithm. "Identical," she said, "because you stole it." The audience gasped. Cameras zoomed in on the evidence. "Ridiculous," Hargrove scoffed. "This is a publicity stunt." "Is it?" Zara pressed a button on Haley. "Perhaps you should check your teleprompter for your prepared response." Hargrove turned to the teleprompter, preparing to dismiss her claims. His face paled as he read the words now scrolling across the screen. "We at Hargrove Technologies acknowledge the unauthorized acquisition of intellectual property from underprivileged innovators, including algorithm HLX7 developed by Zara Williams, age 12, from Baltimore." He stopped reading, horrified, but the damage was done. The first rows had seen the teleprompter text. Phones were raised, recording. "You're Zara Williams," he realized aloud. "From the science fair." "Yes," she confirmed. "The girl whose certificate you tore up on national television. The fraud you accused of plagiarism while you were actively stealing my work." Security reached the stage but hesitated, unsure how to proceed with cameras rolling. "This demonstration is over," Hargrove announced, reaching for Haley. "Don't touch that," Zara warned. "Unless you want your entire system to crash." It was a bluff, but Hargrove flinched. "Haley, continue demonstration," Zara commanded. The device projected new data, internal memos from Hargrove Technologies discussing efficiency algorithms and cost containment strategies. "These documents show deliberate programming of bias," Zara explained. "Patients from certain zip codes, primarily minority and low-income neighborhoods, automatically receive lower priority scores." You've illegally accessed confidential information, Hargrove sputtered. This is corporate espionage. No, a new voice interrupted. Dr. Eliana Wright strode down the center aisle. It's whistleblowing. She reached the stage, professional and commanding in her lab coat. I'm Dr. Eliana Wright, former Chief Ethics Officer at Hargrove Technologies. I can confirm these documents are authentic. The audience buzzed with excitement. This had become far more than a student competition. Dr. Wright was fired after raising ethical concerns about this exact issue, Zira explained. The evidence she collected proves both the theft of my algorithm and its weaponization against vulnerable populations. Including my grandmother, Zira added, voice cracking slightly, who was denied a life-saving procedure last week because your algorithm decided people from our zip code aren't worth saving. Hargrove attempted to regain control. These are complex systems that balance resources. They're discriminatory systems that prioritize profit over people, Dr. Wright interrupted. And they're built on stolen innovation. Hargrove lunged for the power cord connecting Haley to the presentation system. This ends now. Actually, Zira smiled, it's just beginning. As Hargrove pulled the plug, every screen in the auditorium, the main display, judges' tablets, even the digital signage in the lobby, simultaneously lit up with the same evidence. Backup systems activated by Amara, who was live-streaming the entire confrontation. You can't silence the truth by unplugging it, Zira said. Hargrove attempted to leave the stage, but found himself stuck in place. His expensive shoes adhered firmly to the floor, trapped by Zira's homemade quick-drying adhesive strategically placed before her presentation. The audience erupted in laughter as the mighty CEO tugged helplessly at his feet. What is this? He demanded, face reddening. A simple adhesive compound, Zira explained innocently. I developed it in my kitchen. Would you like to steal that too? More laughter, more cameras. Hargrove's public humiliation broadcast in real time across social media platforms. You've made a serious mistake, he threatened quietly. My legal team will what? Amara Jones appeared beside Dr. Wright, press badge displayed prominently. Sue a 12-year-old for exposing corporate theft and discrimination? That's tomorrow's headline you're writing, Mr. Hargrove. Who are you? He demanded. Amara Jones, Baltimore Tribune. We're running a special investigation on algorithmic discrimination in healthcare, featuring Dr. Wright's testimony and Ms. Williams' evidence. She smiled professionally. Care to comment? As security finally extracted Hargrove's shoes from the floor, leaving him in sock feet, the competition judges huddled in urgent discussion. The head judge approached the microphone. In light of these unprecedented circumstances, we're suspending today's competition pending further investigation. That's unnecessary, Zira said, still holding Haley. I didn't come here to win your competition. I came here for justice. She turned to face the audience directly. This device was created to save lives, all lives, regardless of zip code or income or race. That's the innovation we should be celebrating. The auditorium erupted in applause, tentative at first, then building to a thunderous standing ovation. The studio fell silent as Victor Hargrove, for the first time in his life, found himself without words, while a 12-year-old girl from Baltimore had just given the world millions of them. Hargrove Technologies plummets 28% following ethics scandal, screamed the financial headlines 3 days later. Zira spread the newspaper across the small table in Grandma May's hospital room, watching her grandmother's eyes widen. This is what you were up to? Grandma May whispered, fingers tracing the front-page photo of Zira on stage. When you said you were fixing a mistake. I couldn't tell you, Zira explained. You would have worried. Worried? Her grandmother's voice rose. Girl, I'm terrified. You took on a billionaire with more lawyers than we have plates. But we won, Zira said simply. Did we? Grandma May gestured at their surroundings. The hospital room they couldn't afford, the monitors still beeping, the denied procedure still unscheduled. A soft knock interrupted them. Amara Jones entered, digital tablet in hand. "Good morning, Ms. Williams," she greeted Grandma May. "I'm Amara, a friend of your extraordinary granddaughter." "The reporter," Grandma May acknowledged cautiously. "Yes, ma'am, and I bring news." Amara handed over the tablet, displaying an email from the hospital administration. "Your procedure has been approved, fully covered." "How?" Grandma May breathed. "Public pressure works wonders," Amara explained. "After our story broke, the insurance company suddenly discovered an algorithmic error in their system." Tears filled Grandma May's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me," Amara nodded toward Zira. "Thank your granddaughter. She's changed more than just your case." Outside the hospital, chaos reigned. Hargrove Technologies faced multiple investigations: ethical, financial, legal. Former employees came forward with corroborating evidence of discriminatory practices and intellectual property theft. Class action lawsuits formed overnight. In the eye of this storm, Zira found unexpected calm. The truth was out. The work was done. Now came the aftermath. "You're trending again," Ms. Diallo noted, showing Zira her phone during their daily library session. The hashtag #ZiraWasRight dominated social media, accompanied by stories of algorithmic discrimination from across the country. "It's bigger than me now," Zira observed. "It always was," Ms. Diallo replied. "You just gave it a face and a voice." The hospital corridor smelled different today. Less fear, more possibility. The faint scent of her grandmother's lavender hand cream wafted through the air as Zira entered room 412, clutching an official envelope. "What's that?" Grandma May asked, sitting up in bed. Her color was better, her voice stronger. The procedure was scheduled for tomorrow. "An acceptance letter," Zira said, placing it in her grandmother's hands. "For real this time." The Young Innovators competition judges had reconvened. Despite the scandal, or perhaps because of it, they had awarded Zira first place. The letter came with a scholarship offer to the National Science Academy and a check large enough to cover their overdue rent, and then some. "Baby girl," Grandma May whispered, pride shining through tears. Their moment was interrupted by a commotion in the hallway. Security personnel filed past the door, followed by a parade of suits and cameras. "What now?" Grandma May sighed. Amara appeared in the doorway, slightly out of breath. "He's here," she announced. "Who?" "Hargrove. He's holding a press conference in the main lobby." Zira froze. "About me?" "About everything. Come on, you'll want to see this." From the second-floor balcony overlooking the lobby, they watched as Victor Hargrove, noticeably less polished than his television appearances, approached a forest of microphones. His lawyer stood beside him, face grim. "I come before you today," Hargrove began, voice lacking its usual confidence, "to address the allegations regarding Hargrove Technologies' healthcare algorithm." He cleared his throat, eyes darting to his lawyer, who nodded slightly. "Following an internal investigation, we have confirmed that our system contained problematic decision metrics that may have resulted in disparate outcomes for certain communities." The carefully worded non-apology hung in the air. "Furthermore," he continued reluctantly, "we acknowledge that elements of our core algorithm bear significant similarities to work developed independently by Zira Williams." A reporter shouted, "Are you admitting you stole a child's invention?" Hargrove's jaw tightened. "We are admitting to inadequate oversight in our acquisition processes." Another voice. "Will you apologize to Zira Williams directly?" The lobby fell silent. Cameras panned, searching for her. Someone pointed toward the balcony. Suddenly, all eyes turned upward. Zira stood perfectly still as Hargrove looked up, their eyes meeting across the distance. For a brief moment, power shifted, the billionaire looking up at the child he had dismissed. "Ms. Williams," he said stiffly, "I offer my sincere apologies for the way you were treated at the science fair and for any Misappropriation of your intellectual contributions. The words were clearly painful for him, extracted by lawyers and public pressure rather than genuine remorse. Apology accepted, Zira replied, voice carrying through the hushed lobby. But I'm more interested in what happens next. We're establishing a review board to examine all algorithmic decisions, Hargrove offered, and creating a youth innovation fund for underrepresented communities. And my grandmother's procedure? Zira pressed. And everyone else denied care by your algorithm? Hargrove's lawyer whispered in his ear before he responded. All cases flagged by the system are being reviewed. Treatment decisions will be reassessed. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. As cameras flashed around her, Zira realized the hardest challenge still lay ahead, deciding what to do with a power that could change the world, not just embarrass those who ruled it. 6 months passed like a blur. Spring bloomed across Baltimore, bringing cherry blossoms and new beginnings. Zira adjusted her graduation cap in the bathroom mirror of their new apartment. Not a mansion, but clean, safe, and paid for through the end of the year. No more eviction notices taped to their door. You look beautiful, Grandma May said from the doorway, her recovery progressing steadily. The procedure had been successful, her heart stronger each day. It's just middle school graduation, Zira shrugged. Not just any graduate, her grandmother corrected, holding up the morning newspaper. The headline read, Young Innovator Accepts Full Scholarship to National Science Academy. The scholarship had come with options. Several prestigious academies had offered Zira positions following the Hargrove scandal. She'd chosen the one with the strongest ethics program and the most diverse student body. You ready? Grandma May asked, now working part-time as a patient advocate at the hospital, helping others navigate the healthcare system she once feared. Almost, Zira replied, gently placing Haley into her bag. The device had evolved, its capabilities expanded. No longer just a personal project, it was now the cornerstone of a healthcare oversight initiative developed in partnership with Dr. Wright. The doorbell rang. Ms. Diallo waited outside, elegant in a traditional West African dress. Your chariot awaits, she smiled, gesturing to the car where Amara Jones sat behind the wheel. The drive to Jefferson Public Library took them past familiar streets transformed by spring and circumstance. The corner store, where Mr. Chen had extended credit, now displayed a community-supported business banner, part of an economic initiative born from the healthcare algorithm exposure. Nervous about your presentation? Ms. Diallo asked. A little, Zira admitted. After graduation, before leaving for the academy, she would teach her first coding class at the library, a program for younger kids from her neighborhood, funded by the settlement from Hargrove Technologies. The company itself had undergone dramatic restructuring. Victor Hargrove had been forced to step down as CEO following shareholder pressure. Dr. Eliana Wright now led a reformed executive team committed to ethical AI development. Hargrove's healthcare algorithm had been completely rebuilt, with transparent decision metrics and community oversight. Thousands of previously denied procedures had been reviewed and approved. Not perfect justice, but progress. At the library, a small crowd waited. Children with bright eyes and parents with hopeful expressions. The same families who had watched Zira grow up among the bookshelves now came to see her teach. Look at all these kids, Amara whispered, camera ready to document the moment for her ongoing series on algorithmic justice. Her reporting had earned national recognition, bringing much-needed attention to digital discrimination. Zira surveyed the makeshift classroom, laptops donated by tech companies eager to rebuild their reputations, curriculum developed with Ms. Diallo, who now directed the library's expanded STEM program. Welcome to Code Your Future, Zira began, confidence growing with each word. Today, we'll learn how machines think and how to make sure they think fairly. Little hands raised immediately, questions bubbling forth. Zira answered each one patiently, remembering her own curiosity, her own hunger to learn. During a break, she stepped outside for air. Spring sunshine warmed her face as she considered the journey ahead, The academy, new challenges, a future once unimaginable. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Wright. Haley's healthcare monitoring system approved for national pilot program. You've changed the game. Change. That's what this had all been about. Not revenge against Hargrove, but transformation of the systems that had protected him while dismissing her. Back inside, the children waited, computers open to their first coding exercises. They looked at her with trust and admiration. The local girl who had taken on a tech giant and won. But victory wasn't in Hargrove's downfall. It was here, in this room, in the possibilities unfolding for these children who would no longer have to fight so hard to be seen. And as she looked at the eager faces surrounding her, Zira smiled, knowing that the real power wasn't in the code itself, but in who got to write it. Genius isn't determined by zip code or circumstance, but by opportunity and recognition. When we overlook talent based on appearance or background, we don't just hurt individuals. We rob society of the innovations it desperately needs. If Zira's journey moved you, hit that subscribe button and like this video to see more beat stories that challenge the powerful and celebrate unsung brilliance. Your support helps these vital stories reach those who need them most.
Every time someone stands up, speaks out, or refuses to be erased, a new story is born. At Beat Stories, we archive that courage. Subscribe now and help us keep these moments alive, because the more we share them, the harder they are to ignore.